So, welcome to another podcast. My name is Dave Holland, Results Rules OK. And today, joining me from the sunny, or rather not sunny, UK, Mr. Phil Jones from SoFit Group. So, Phil, welcome to the conversation. Good to see you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me.
I know we spoke briefly last week, and we were talking about the subject we're talking about. So we're reasonably new in terms of our sort of connectiveness and that sort of thing to a certain extent. But I think you've got a fabulous story to tell, and we are going to touch on that the dagger on the wall behind you later on in the conversation. I know what it is, but I think people are going to be intrigued by that as well. So before we kick off, I know the subject we're talking about is a lot of the work that you do with people is all about resilience. But before we get on to resilience, give everybody who maybe doesn't know you or hasn't come across your details, who's Phil Jones, your background, what brought you to this point. So give us a bit of background first.
Yeah, sure. So my background is probably slightly more unusual than most. So I spent just over 10 years as a Royal Marines Commando.
Mm-hmm.
So traveling all over the world in quite hostile situations, humanitarian aid, sport, you name it, pretty much everything. Had a fantastic time in the Marines. Did some pretty cool things, and I did some quite things that I wouldn't repeat. Let's put it that way. So, but above all, like I say, fantastic time. Met some fantastic people,
Mm-hmm.
And learned a lot of life skills, which has helped me build my businesses now and really give me some resilience and help maintain my resilience, which I'll touch on shortly. So upon leaving the Marines, I then went into close protection. So a little bit of anti-piracy as well out in the Indian Ocean. So again, not the normal sort of career choice, shall we say. So I did that for a few years, and then I thought to myself, right, okay, it's time to get a normal job now, inverted commas, and come back to sunny Swansea. As you say, we've got a beautiful coastline, and it's always drawn me back to home. And that's when I pursued then, or what I thought was going to be a second career, and I thought that was going to be in the police force or potentially a paramedic and things like that. And I quickly realised, I'm going off on a tangent here. That's normally a good thing in a podcast.
Absolutely, nice. It's all good.
But I did quickly realise that I couldn't really find my identity, if you like.
Okay.
And I struggled. And I struggled. I didn't know what I was or what my purpose was, which for me it does relate to resilience, true resilience anyway.
Yeah.
And I've documented it before, but that my mental health started to suffer. Coming from this, elite Royal Marine Commando and doing the things that I did, I ended up working as a car park attendant, and I couldn't find that my calling, as I like to say. And it took a while, but then I realized that helping people was really my passion.
Okay.
And I then got into the fitness industry a bit more. Obviously, with my background, fitness was always a key pillar in what we did in the military. But I realized helping people achieve their goals was really my passion.
Okay.
And then I set up Swansea Outdoor Fitness, which is predominantly a boot camp and fitness company. And then that quickly developed then into a more holistic and approach to well-being. And then SoFit Group Limited was set up then, which is predominantly corporate wellness and mental health and resilience workshops and things like that. So in a very broad nutshell, that's where I've come from and where I am today.
And so, just out of interest, I mean, well, for me, but I assume other people as well, what drew you to the Royal Marines in the first place? Obviously, elite commando, absolutely, I get it, understand the sort of the attraction, but how did you go from where you were to joining the Royal Marines? That's quite a journey in itself, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, I left school with zip, with not even one GCSE. So I didn't even have enough qualifications to even think about college, never mind attend college. and part of that was because I always knew, or I always wanted to join the military. I was the one
Right.
climbing trees. I was the one, running around getting muddy, playing, cowboys and Indians, etc. So I always knew that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Now I didn't even know about the Royal Marines. I'll be honest, didn't even know about them.
Yeah.
It is such a small, not many people get through, and it is, it is a very small unit. I think current stats are for every 1,000 people that apply, one person will actually go and pass out. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
So
That's
it is, it is an elite fighting unit. So I was going to join the army. I was going to, that's the only thing I knew.
Yeah.
And then weirdly, my brother joined the Marines, just completely flipped. He was never into fitness. He was never into sport.
Wow.
And off he went. He joined the Marines. And I thought, oh, okay. So when I watched him pass out, I thought, right, I'm having some of that.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do. So that was my inspiration there.
Fantastic. So, and I know you've had a fabulous career, military career and business career as well. But we're thinking about, we're in this sort of COVID lockdown situation, or coming out of it now in the UK, all being well in about 13 days time. But I think that the story you explained to me when we spoke before about how you, or when you started this business, if you like, is quite interesting as well. It sort of demonstrates resilience to a degree. So just give us a timeline of when you sort of started this this venture.
Yeah, definitely. Well, while I was, like I said, my academic years in school wasn't very good. But while I was working for a military preparation college, I then actually managed to get to university and finish my teaching degree. And alongside that, I set up a very, very small sort of community boot camp as a bit of a sidekick. And that, like I say, that was fulfilling my passion. And it became a point where it was growing and growing, and it was really a decision that needed to be made of, right, well, okay, do I quit my day job and push it on to the next level and actually make a successful full-time business out of it?
Yeah.
And it got to a point I thought, right, I'm going to do that. And that point was January, February last year. So just before the first lockdown, before the sort of pandemic hit. And I actually quit my job 3 weeks before lockdown in the UK. So it couldn't have been a worse time. It couldn't be the worst time. So my USP is group fitness outdoors. So obviously all of that was then was stopped. So I had to basically rip up the business plan and really start thinking outside the box. And that's really when I called, onto my sort of resilience side. And I've done a lot of presentations and keynote speaking upon bringing that military mindset to business. And that's really what I had to do. I had to, there's a saying in the Marines and the military, no plan survives first contact.
Absolutely.
Which basically means you could have the best plan ever. You could walk out that gate and you could get shot at, and that plan is now not achievable. So it was like that. But being resilient and having a plan B and really sort of thinking outside the box and throwing everything at it. Yeah, I mean that's what I did in the first lockdown, and thankfully it paid off. So
Well, you're here to tell the tale, so obviously it shows it pays off.
Yeah.
Actually, I had some hay fever here in sunny France, so I've just started to get, my eyes are watering a bit. So anyway, I'm actually fine. If any of those are watching, but it's just a bit of hay fever, that's all. So looking at,
not making you cry now, David. Are you not getting
no, it's a very emotional conversation. It's okay. But looking at resilience, I think you've also had this experience in the military. And as you say, by definition, you have to be resilient to do what you did. But then you see people now, sort of resilience trainers or coaches out there, and resilience is that they've overcome, they broke a nail or they couldn't get to Starbucks, but they're resilient and get through it. There's different levels of resilience, surely, because for the experience you have, not just in when you formed your business, but in terms of your training and your abilities to survive through resilience. How do you bring that to bear into people's personal lives or business lives? What sort of areas, what sort of tips would you give people in terms of resilience in that level?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for me, I break resilience down into 3 pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and first of all, you know, going into that first lockdown, you know, I literally, I had my second child as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
You do like a challenge, don't you?
Oh yeah, love it. Yeah. So wife was on maternity, a 4-year-old and a new, yeah, 4-year-old and a newborn
Wow,
in the
well
house,
done.
and then locked down for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
So my resilience was tested. My mental strength was tested, and boy, was my patience tested.
I bet it was.
But you know, it was a case. You know, I had to holiday everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the mortgage payments, the you know, the car payments, my mobile for everything was holidayed, and I couldn't pay it. So, you know, and I could have quite easily, I probably could have got my job back, you know,
Sure.
but like I say, from my background, from my mindset, which I'll talk about in a moment, I thought, no, you know, this is a challenge. You know, why throw the towel in? You know, I'm going to
Yeah.
give it everything. And, you know, if it gets to a point where actually I cannot do any more, or the circumstances dictate that, wow, you know, I'm going to have to find an alternative employment,
Yeah.
postpone this, then so be it. But you know, like I say, my mindset, my attitude, and my resilience just said, no, fight through it, get through it. You know, stick to your principles,
Yeah.
and you know, you will come out the other end. And thankfully, you know, I did, and I created a second business out of it. So
Wow.
all good there. But yeah, going back to your original question, yeah, I break it down, like say, 3 pillars of resilience. And the first one is what I just said, mindset.
Yeah.
And your mindset really dictates how you approach situations. And that in itself is resilience.
Yeah.
You know, do you take a challenge on, you know, like I just mentioned, or do you just, you know, shy away from it and not be that person to put your hand up because you may be fearful of failure, or you may be fearful of the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So your mindset is really important when it comes to building resilience. And with a good growth positive mindset, then gives optimism. It will promote optimism. And you know, the optimist, you know, they won't have the perfect plan. You know, they won't, you know, they won't wait for everything to align. They will go, you know what, that looks there or thereabouts, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they'll be successful with it, because they're not waiting and not fretting on things.
Yeah.
So your mindset is definitely really important. And what happens when you've got a growth mindset and you are quite optimistic is that you then start trying new things, and you will get out of that comfort zone. You'll think outside the box. You'll look at something at a different angle. And what that does, that will give you then the experiences, and it will change your attitude to certain situations.
Yeah.
So if you can do that. Now, I was quite lucky. I mean, I say lucky or unlucky, you know, in the Marines, we were kind of forced into situations.
That's right.
You know,
Yes.
like, jump out of that helicopter. It'll be all right. You're landing into water. All right. Okay. Yeah. Have I got to do it? Yeah. All right. Well, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, I'm quite lucky. I've got that mindset ingrained in me.
Sure.
You know, but
Sure.
everyday folk can do it. It could be, you know, trying a new food. You know, you don't have to try it. Okay, right, that's not going to build huge resilience for it to start.
Yes.
And having that mindset of, oh, actually, I'm gonna challenge myself.
Yeah.
You know, there's a famous saying of, you know, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the more, you know, being uncomfortable you can be, the more comfortable you get.
Sure. Sure.
And that's in any situation. For instance, my boot camp, it's outdoor fitness.
Right. Right.
And I often get people say, well, what happens when it rains? Does it get called off, or do we go inside? No, we try.
Do they really ask that of an ex-Royal Marine, for goodness sake?
And I say, no, we carry on. And I said,
unbelievable,
build resilience.
Yeah.
Mentally stronger.
Wow.
You know, and that is part of it. You know, I guarantee that person, you know, would be sitting on the sofa otherwise.
Yes. Yeah.
Things that are not healthy and not helping them. You know, so it's like, no, get outside, get in the rain.
Is it the case, and just in your experience, where you find that we have, as you call, resilience, but so if you have no choice but to be amazing, so if you're in the military, you're given a you're doing jumping out of helicopters, this sort of thing. There's no choice. You've got to do it. You can't say no, I'm going to sit on the sofa, or if it's raining, I'm not going to go. That doesn't happen. So if you don't have a choice but to be excellent, your sort of performance picks up. Whereas if you've got the option of quitting, that becomes the easier way out. Do you find people quit too soon, perhaps, and don't actually push through when they could achieve something great?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And it doesn't happen, like I say, it doesn't happen overnight. And don't forget, when I did join the military, I was wet behind the ear, complete civil.
Sure.
And then I had to go through that training, and bit by bit, week by week, day by day, we had that small improvement, that 1% improvement. And like I said earlier with that stat, one in 1,000. The people that didn't quite have that mentality or resilience, they didn't get through. They might have got through later on in their life. They might have then joined the army and had a very good, successful career, or Navy, whatever. And it's the same with when I work with people, on their fitness journey. I don't ask them to run a marathon in their first or second session.
Mm-hmm.
I will question, I will probe and see where their comfort zone is, but also what is their fears, what is their worries. And it could be as simple as a hill sprint, or something like that. They might be carrying a lot of weight. Great, that's music to my ears, because I will just feed them into it ever so slightly, and then after 6-7 sessions or weeks, or even months sometimes, they're at the top of that hill. And that's for them a massive achievement. And that is really the journey of building some good foundations of resilience. They had a challenge. They didn't want to do it. They didn't like to do it. They were fearful of it. They were out of their comfort zone. But you know what? We got them there. So that's a process.
So from a resilience perspective, is it really the case of a resilient person chooses not to quit? Basically, they push through, they learn, they adapt, and they survive, if you like. But they learn as they go along, and doing what I do, and not at a similar level at all to your experience. But people in business achieving things, or doing a presentation to a group of people can terrify some people, and yet when they do it, they sort of push through. They love it. They go, this is great. They find that they're actually good at it. They enjoy it. Do you find that as well when people make this breakthrough of fitness or mindset or attitude, when they've broken through and they've climbed the hill, that they want to do it again? It becomes a habit, a positive habit forms in their mind as well.
Yeah. And that leads me on lovely. In fact, that wasn't rehearsed either. I like that.
It wasn't. No, we're good at this. We should do this.
But that leads me on to the second pillar, and that's routine and habit.
Right. Okay.
And for me, it is keeping those daily routines and daily habits consistent. And obviously, SoFit Group Limited is health and wellbeing consultancy. And it's something that I promote so much. Is you've got to have those daily habits completely nailed off. I get up at the same time every morning. I will do my exercise. I will have a cold shower. I will do some breathing, and that then is setting me up, for the day. And I know whatever's coming that day, it could be a stressful situation. It could be a nightmare of a client. It could be something's gone, completely wrong, out of my control. And I will demonstrate some excellent resilience to deal with that. And that's not down to being brave or like the dagger is there being determined. It's having daily habits and routines set. Because and one thing I always promote is, whether or not things are going well, whether your business is thriving and everything's going great, and lots of people are in that position, thankfully, now coming out of the COVID. Stick to those routines. Because if you stop those routines, then suddenly that incident or that problem, comes, and you're not, it's like a car. If you've left it sitting there, I haven't started it, and you haven't had that, it's not gonna perform to the best it can. It's not going to deal with that journey, or
Sure.
as a person will not be able to deal with that situation, and you might make a mistake, you might lose your temper with a member of staff.
Yeah.
So routine and habits is very key to maintaining that resilience.
Yes, okay. But I mean, I think most people, in fact, everybody, I guess, if we look at their lifestyle behaviors and routines, everybody's got a routine, haven't they? But it might be the routine is beer and cigarettes and a burger for lunch every day. It's not a so it's just changing, choosing a different routine. And we've all got habits that we want to keep and want to get rid of. But so it's really choosing the habits. So I mean, do you recommend? I noticed you do an early start and the cold shower and the breathing exercises. Is that, I mean, how early? You want a part of the 5 a.m. club or 5:30 club or something like that? How when's your day actually start?
Obviously, having a 1-year-old, I am unfortunately, not by choice, part of the 5 a.m. club, because that's the time he wants to get up.
Absolutely, yes.
But no, and I've seen, I've seen this debate about, you're not a hero just because you're getting up at 5 and doing yoga and doing this, and
Yeah.
But if that works for someone, then that works for someone.
Sure. Sure.
And people have got different circumstances. People have got different family commitments.
Yes.
For me, I'm just going back to that first lockdown and what you said about habits and things like that. And, obviously having a fitness company, I was doing 2 classes, sometimes 3 classes a day, online, virtually, just like this.
Yeah.
And I was the fittest I've been.
Right.
Fittest I've been. Coming out of that first lockdown, I realized that, you know what? I'm not in a good place here. My mental health is starting to suffer again, and I've got a bit of belly fat going on here. How is that possible? And I feel okay, but I'm not firing on all cylinders.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did a bit of research. I looked at my nutrition. I looked at, right, well, actually, what am I doing? What are my daily routines and habits? So I lost those, and certainly through lockdown, I think 99% of people's habits were, right, the brief is on, open a beer.
Yeah.
And I hold my hands up. Well, that was me.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of things going on in the house. And unfortunately, I realized my new coping mechanism was alcohol.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
With alcohol, that makes me eat poorly. So I suddenly realized, right, I need to sort of stop and check what are my daily routines and habits. And that's when I researched and did some courses with breath work and breath practice.
Okay.
And introduced myself to cold water therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I must say it's been a game changer. It's been an absolute game changer. So, when people say, "Oh, I can't believe you get up at that time and do this and do that," the reality is, if I don't do those things, those processes and those routines, then I cannot be the best Phil Jones I can be.
Sure.
I cannot be the best partner that I can be, the best father, So whatever works, it's you don't get anything extra for it, but if that works for you, that works for you. Now I know if I don't do, like, I've been for a run this morning.
Yeah.
I've had my cold shower. Didn't do any breathing. I'm gonna do some breathing tonight. But if I don't do those this morning, chances are life, business, kids are gonna get in the way.
Yes.
Later on.
Yeah.
My boy will be on at 3:30.
Yeah.
The other one will be doing whatever he does as an 18-month-year-old.
Yep.
And I've got a class to take tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be getting in until sort of 8 o'clock anyway. And there's no room for that. So that's what works. That's what works for me. So keeping that routine. And I'm a big believer of, a healthy body, healthy mind is huge.
Yes. So really, in the work that you do, then we've got these pillars. Then we've got the routines set up. I mean, do people push back on this? In your experience, they have. Is it more challenging to give somebody a new routine, or get them to break an old one? If they, I don't know, let's say they were smoking and having, overdoing the beer and wine or whatever it was. Is it easy? What's tougher to break the old habit or introduce a new one?
Definitely break the old habit. It takes 21 days to create a new habit. And that's why you'll often see clever marketing campaigns. Free 21-day challenge,
Yes.
and after 21 days, you're like, I don't want to give this up. This
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, if you want to carry on, here's a subscription.
Sure.
That's why it's normally a 21-day challenge.
Yeah.
Now, it can take up to 250 days to break a habit, a bad habit.
Yeah.
So what I try and do, I will try and introduce new habits, which will be a much more healthier or easier coping mechanism.
Yes. Okay.
And it's really identifying, I say, I see it all the time. Right, I come in from work. First thing I want to do is go to the fridge and pour a glass of wine or open a beer. All right, okay, that's fine. There's two things there. It's either a habit, habitual, or it is a coping mechanism or an emotional coping mechanism.
Yes.
Rubbish day at work, stressed out, boss is an absolute what.
Yeah.
I need a beer. Okay, well, let's stop. Let's just analyze that. Okay, right. So you've had a bit of a stressful day. What have you done to make that day less stressful?
Yes.
What did you do in the morning? Have you exercised?
Yeah.
I know if I exercise, the last thing I'm going to do is spoil it by having a beer. So,
of course, exactly. Yes.
But it's introducing a new habit.
Yeah.
A new habit of, right, instead of that beer, or what I did to break the habit, I started drinking non-alcoholic beer.
Right. Oh, which tastes vile in my experience. But anyway, yeah, that'll soon put you off it. I would have thought.
Beck's Blue was the best one. I tried them all. That was the one.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I still had that process.
Yes. Okay.
But I was having, it wasn't having the effects of what alcohol would have had. Like I say, poor eating, poor sleep.
Yeah.
Like slightly fuzzy head in the morning. That was relieved.
Yeah.
And in the end, I was having one bottle, two bottles maybe, but I was getting less and less and less.
Yes.
And that habit then was broken without the poor side effects of it.
Yeah.
That's just one technique, but it's about identifying why you're going for that habit.
Yes.
It's like smokers, they light up when they feel stressed.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a case of, right, okay, instead of doing that, we're going to do a simple breathing pattern or something like that, just to replace it. And then they'll see then, oh, actually, I could do without that cigarette now, because that's helped me de-stress slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, because my assumption would be, and again, it's not supposed to be a specialist area of mine, but as you say, the alcohol or the cigarette or the food, I guess, the snack food, whatever, it's not the food or the cigarette or the alcohol, it's the fact that it's masking or it's a coping mechanism. And if you remove the stress, the source of the stress, you remove the requirement for the coping mechanism.
Exactly. And that's where you break down they're like I said, routines and habits, and then and look at what sort of mindset they've got, and if you can introduce very slowly one or two habits over the course of time, then their day, they're having the same day they're having 2 months ago, very likely. It's just they've got some different coping mechanisms and habits in place where they can deal with it a lot better, or they're less emotionally reactive to it.
But it can be, I think it is the case, isn't it, where for something to, for the same situation to appear different, to look at it differently, if you look at it with a more positive outcome, or as you say, be on your best game, and then whatever you're dealing with, it looks better than it would have done if you're feeling tired and down and negative, if you like, and that amplifies everything. So, but as you say, this starts with mindset. Everything looks different through a positive filter, I guess.
Yeah, completely. Like I say, those situations, happen almost daily, or whatever situation you're in, that mindset and that sort of, right, okay, well, how am I going to look at this? Is so important. It's so important. And that, like I say, that is really the first pillar of resilience.
And just picking up, so I promised I thought let's start with a look at the dagger on the wall and the photographs, and you mentioned it. Just please, just, I think it's fabulous. You explained to me what it was for, but the dagger plaque on the wall, what was that for?
Yeah, that was an award in basic training. I got the award for the determination medal.
Wow.
So
Can you share a little bit of what specifically that was? How you demonstrated determination to win that award?
I
Or
can actually, yeah, you got me on the spot there, do you? You know, it's actually a great lesson to people, and I should really tell it more. But you know, everything wasn't a bed of roses for me in training. I was
sure.
never the you know the best recruit. I got injured, so I had a little bit of time out, and ultimately I failed one or two things.
Right.
And there was the commando tests. So you had the four commando tests,
Hmm.
and they were right at the end. So you had the 9 mile speed march, the endurance course, the Tarzan assault course, and then the 30-mile trek over Dartmoor,
Wow.
all in the space of 5-6 days. And so ultimately, it's the pinnacle of training.
Yeah.
So passed the first one, got lost on the endurance course. So
That's not. I'm not. I'm laughing with you, not at you. Okay.
oh well, it's just the most craziest thing ever, because we have practice runs on there, but on the day it got wrong, and I failed it by 6 seconds.
Oh no.
Yeah, but you know, standards are standards.
Oh
So did the Tarzan, and then did the 30-mile trek
yeah.
over Dartmoor, and you know my body was dying. It was broken,
I'm
so I had
surprised.
to redo the endurance course then.
Right.
And unfortunately, I just couldn't do it. I was knackered. I was done for. So, and that's when I got injured, and so I had to wait. I got rehabbed,
Yeah.
so I had to redo all of those tests again.
Wow. Oh, you couldn't just do the one you didn't play. You
No,
had to do the
I
whole thing.
go to them all again. So
Wow.
I did the commando test twice. So that was one of the reasons why I got the determination award. So yeah,
Crikey.
there was quite a few obstacles. It wasn't you know, all plain sailing. And like I say, I guess that's, you know, determination, and why I'm probably so resilient.
It's always a demonstration of resilience and in its true form, isn't it? I guess. I mean, just out of interest, when people going through the selection process and the training and they don't make it, how many would go back and do it again like you did? And people say that's it, I'm done. They go. How many people do come back and do it again and get through?
I think quite. I wouldn't know the stats on
Sure.
rejoin
No.
and things like that, but you know, I certainly knew a lot. And you know, some guys join at 16, you know, and that's very, very young, very, very young. And
Yeah.
you know, I looked to apply when I applied when I was 16. I passed the selection, and I thought, you know what, I'm actually too young. You know, I'm not physically or mentally developed
Right.
enough. So a lot of guys start, I think, 16, 17, and go, you know what, it's not quite time. And you know, they'll come back 21, 22
Right.
stronger, and then redo it. But
Okay.
you know, guys do, you know, sort of miss the standards every now and again, and
Yeah.
they'll do a bit of extra training, or you know, or whatever, and reattempt it. But for some guys, they'll just throw in the towel there,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, and look to do something else.
But I think it's interesting, isn't it? I think there is this sort of myth. I guess you see this as well. We're both in a similar sort of field, I suppose, and we're helping and supporting people to achieve things. That there is this sort of myth out there in terms of success and achievement. That it's a dead straight line. You start from here, you go up here, and it's just perfectly smooth. You achieve all your goals, your targets, and then the end of it, you are perfect fitness or perfect wealth or whatever it is. And in my experience, that just doesn't happen that way. It's a very up and down roller coaster.
Oh,
You fall over a few times, you get hurt, you get damaged, whatever, and you get back up. It's this zigzag approach to it that trips a lot of people up. And again, I think it was interesting. You said when you left school, you didn't have a lot of didn't have any sort of qualifications. However, given the right support and context and motivation, you ended up through university with a teaching education degree.
yeah, yeah,
So it's,
yeah.
it's a question of timing as well, surely, for these sort of things.
Yeah, completely. And I think, you know, for me, that, you know, it's about not having regrets as well. And
Sure.
that was probably one of my regrets, not paying, you know, the right respect
Yeah.
to education. And you know, I was presented well, not presented an opportunity. I thought there was an opportunity where I could go off and rectify that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was hard. It was, oh. it was hard, you know,
Did
hard.
you
I'd
did
rec-
you enjoy doing that, or not really?
I've got to say no. It's horrendous. But hey, I'm looking to do a PhD next year, so God help me, I don't know why I'm doing that.
Wow, you are a glutton for punishment.
I
You are, aren't
know,
you? My
why
goodness, a
not? Yeah,
PhD.
yeah. But you know, it was something that I needed to do personally. I think
Yeah,
to just to rectify that
yeah,
those mistakes. And like you say, you know, there's you know, failure isn't failure; it's a lesson. And
exactly.
you know, that was a lesson that I learned and rectified it. You know, 20, 25 years later on, isn't it?
Wow.
So yeah, yeah, and like you say, it goes up and down, and anyone that says that it's plain sailing, and then they're not pushing themselves enough, in my
I
opinion.
know, absolutely. I see that anybody who says that success is a straight line,
Yeah,
look at anybody. I think anybody that's achieved anything of significance that was a challenge for them, they have. I think everybody gets to the point where they go, you know what, I'm going to quit. I hear this all the time from entrepreneurs and business owners where they go, it's just too tough. I'm going to get a job at Tesco's. I'm going to drive a van for Asda or something like this, and this flashes through their mind for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then they realize that they're unemployable anyway. Nobody's going to hire them, and they have to get back on it, and off they go again. But everybody has these thoughts, they fall over, it doesn't go to plan, and
yeah,
they beat themselves up about it. But actually, it is all just part of it's all part of the journey, basically, isn't it?
it is. It is, and that in itself, I think, is you know is resilience as well. And
Yeah,
you know, we all have those thoughts in in business and in
yeah,
life, in your workplace. And I guess my advice with that is, again, you know, sticking to your routines, but also
yeah.
rely on your support network as well,
Hmm.
because that's a nice indirect you know, sort of boost with your resilience. You know, when you're down, when you're had enough, and you are thinking like that,
Yeah,
pick up the phone. I've got my famous five, so I've got five people where, you know, I'll lean on them whenever I need to,
yeah,
and they will just bring you back down to earth, and you know, just give you that support. And what I always say, that your famous five need to be positive. They need
yeah,
to have a growth mindset. They need to be, you know, quite challenging, or they like challenges.
yeah,
And you know, they will just bring you back up to where you need to be. And you know, so your support network, your, you know, exercise, you know. And
yeah,
I'm not saying, you know, go mad and do, like, you know, 30, 40, 50 minutes hit sessions every day.
yeah.
It can be as simple as a brisk walk,
Hmm.
because that will give you some clarity. That will give you some clarity. Get out in the fresh air, and that there helps your resilience, because it just makes things just calm down. You remember why you're doing it. You
Yeah,
remember the important things, why you first started doing it. You know, because if you lose that, then what's the point?
sure,
You're
sure.
not gonna be successful in whatever you do. Um, so yeah, so just remembering who you are is often very important, and that will just help.
And do you find as well, and is it more of a a guy thing that we don't ask for help and don't have the support networks? I'm hesitating to say that women would talk more freely than guys do. I'm going to get shot for that. But there is this sort of perception that guys, we push through, we get on with it, we don't ask for help, and that, I think hopefully that's changing now. But do you see that that's more work required there to enable and encourage guys to reach out and ask for help?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You know, certainly as well. Obviously, you know, being in the military,
Yeah,
the stigma around mental health and speaking out, when, you know, when just saying, look, you know, I'm on a bit of a tough time here,
yeah,
and lean on that support network was, you know, it was a huge stigma. It never
sure.
happened. But also, I think, you know, going back to what you said, and I'm going to repeat that, women are generally better than, you know,
They seem
asking
to
for help,
be.
things like that. But
Yeah,
then you've also got to look at the situation, you know, men put themselves in, and generally they're sort of going out and chatting is, or 9 times out of 10 would be in a pub environment,
yeah,
or
yeah,
in an alcoholic environment. And
sure,
you know,
sure.
I drink. I'm not teetotal or
Yeah,
anything, but that that dictates really what's discussed.
yes,
And you know, whereas with ladies, you know, it's having a coffee, or whatever, or going for a
yeah,
walk with the kids or something. And I think that environment's a lot more suitable for things like that.
sure,
Uh,
sure.
but yeah, I would definitely agree that men, you know, I think it's just in our DNA. You know, it's the
Yeah,
hunter gatherer type sort of DNA we've got, where you know we must, you know, sort of be successful. We must be
yeah.
a provider. We must, you know, keep everything else in check. And sometimes emotions and you know, how, you know, if we're having a bad day is seen as weakness, where
Yeah.
really it isn't. You know, I
Absolutely
see it.
not. No, I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. So I think it's something that, as you say, I mean, the sort of, we're veering off a little bit here, but I think there's this sort of masculine view, as you said, that we men have to be the leaders and provide and battle through. We don't ask for help, and we just, and okay, a little bit of that is okay. That from a resilience point of view is great, but hopefully, I think it is change where people can actually reach out, ask for help, and they work with somebody like yourself, for example. They go, you know what, I want to get healthier and fitter, but I want to have my mind set right first. And that was all about recognizing these positive habits and patterns of behavior too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you know, why wouldn't you want to be on top of your game?
Absolutely, exactly. Yeah,
And,
what's the
you know
alternative? Yeah,
what? I wish I knew. I wish I knew what I know now and some of the practices that I do now,
yeah,
you know, 10, 15 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah, I, I would have loved that. But
yeah,
you know, we're in the now, and that's the other thing. You know, you live in the now, don't you? You deal with what's in front of you. You don't dwell on things, what's happened. You know, so yeah, definitely. You know, if you know, if you want, I look at it as, you know, sort of, again, you know, going back to the, you know, the car. You know,
yeah,
if you've got a diesel car and you put petrol in it, how you expected for that to operate and you know, to its peak performance, it's going to splutter down the road and probably pack up.
yeah,
You know, it's the same with the body. You know, if you're not looking after your body or looking after your mind, or you know, challenging your mind,
yeah.
then how are you supposed to improve and be at peak operating?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so if you could go back in time to when you were 15, 16 years old, what advice would you give yourself now if you could?
Save myself a lot of aggro and headaches, and just knuckle down and do the work.
Right.
You know, because I thought, I'm joining the military, I don't need GCSEs. Why?
Right.
What's the point? You know, what's the
Yeah.
point? And then little did I know, just as we were about to finish training, Sergeant Major came with a big list. Yeah, Jones. Yeah, you need to go and do your GCSEs before you get your green lid. I was
Oh,
like, what?
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, certainly in the Marines, you know, we were renowned as thinking soldiers.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you had to have a certain education to pass.
Right.
And then same with promotion. Right, you're doing a great, you know, 5, 6 years later, you know,
Yeah.
promotion board comes around. Yeah, you're doing great. You've been to Afghanistan. You've got operational experience under your belt. Oh, you need certain levels in GCSEs to be promoted.
Really? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that, which I mean, I
yeah,
guess is a good thing, but that's a bit of a shock to the system then, was it?
yeah, exactly. So you know, if I just knuckled down when I was 15, 16, I could have saved myself a lot of embarrassment and
Right.
hard work. So that would be the advice. But also, you know, playing devil's advocate as well. You know, I do a lot of stuff with schools and
Yeah.
school visits, and you know, I tell them, I say, look, you know, if this is not, you know, if you're destined not to do that well in school, don't worry. It's
Yeah.
not.
Agreed.
It's a you know, it is a little bit of a paper exercise.
Yeah.
And you know, if you find that environment, you know, not motivating and it doesn't create your creative juices,
Yeah.
then don't worry. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. But
Absolutely.
save yourself the asshole and try.
Try anyway. So the people you work with, what sort? It's a strange question for you now. What sort of people do you work with? I know it's from all sorts, but you know, typically, what sort of people are you attracting as clients for yourself?
I mean, I'm quite lucky. I mean, like I say, in the short sort of space I've been involved in the corporate world. I've picked up some cracking clients, and
Yeah.
you know, again, my mindset was right. I want the three biggest clients in Swansea,
Yeah.
and you know, that was Swansea City Football Club, who were you know, only up until a few years ago Premier League Football Club,
Yeah. Yeah.
DVLA, and Swansea Council, and
Okay.
I was lucky enough to snag all three. So
Oh, well done.
yeah, so with Swansea City, we do a lot of sort of clinic work. So, you know, if their staff are feeling a little bit down, or they need some advice on fitness, on nutrition, on mindset, or whatever it is, you know, coaching, then they can book 30-minute slots with me and get advice, just like similar to this, if you like.
Sure.
DVLA, we run a wellness program.
Okay.
So they will get an intense, or they've had recently an intense program where we've looked to develop the mindset of their staff and try and develop a growth mindset. We've done some breath work to help with stress and anxiety, with obviously returning to work.
Yes.
How nutrition can affect, you know, your output and your mood and your wellness.
Yeah.
And then the last week is resilience. So it's all basically bringing all of that together and then having your 3 pillars.
Fantastic. And if people, hopefully, obviously people watching this, I would encourage them obviously to reach out and say thank you for you sharing your story, but also find out more about what you do, how you work, and your products and programs. And what's the best way for people to contact you know, Phil Jones from SoFit? What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Email, phone, anything. So phil@sofitgroup.co.uk. Phone number 07714579666. No relation.
666. Wow, there's
no relation to the devil. That was a past life. Or just have a look at the website, www.sofitgroup.co.uk, and you can pop me a message there, and we'll get back to you. But yeah, welcome inquiries.
Fabulous. Well, this is all part of the fun and part of the engagement as well. So, Phil, I really appreciate your time. Thank you. A fabulous story that I'm sure resonates with lots of people listening to this. And I think the key things, you know, for me at least, is this sort of resilience of it's okay to fall over and get back up again. And I think, you know, you, as you said, with basic training, you know, the 6 seconds, oh my God, I mean, how, that's rough, that's tough, isn't it? But to get back up and keep on going, success comes after, you know, the ups and downs and the sideways. So, you know, congratulations, wish you well with the business. And with the COVID lockdown coming to an end on the 19th now, hopefully we can get moving again in all sorts of areas. But, you know, we're connected. I sense we will talk again. Anybody listening, please contact Phil, say hello. Phil, thank you. It's been a real pleasure. And I will be back, I think, next week with another guest. But I'm not sure all my guests should have a dagger on the wall. It's going to be compulsory now, I think, for some reason, to talk about it. So, Phil, for now, thank you. Appreciate your time. Everybody else, thanks for listening. Please contact Phil and feel free to contact me as well. For now, have a great week, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.